right, guys, it's a big day on the new ICF house that we're building. And I will go ahead and announce what all that ICF back there is. It is, and I'm going to do a full review video on it too this weekend. So we'll see. I may put this video up on Saturday and then do a full review video on the block on Sunday. So stay tuned for it. It's Elements block, elementsicf.com. That is Logix Brands' new, pretty freaking amazing suite of products. They've been working on a redesign for a couple years now. And kind of a funny story, there's a guy named Alan Eisenhower who came to my very first ICF pool training. He was a Logix guy. And I had in this book all the things I like about ICF blocks and brands and what I don't like about different brands. And apparently I was like, yeah, I like two-way corners. I don't like left and right corners. And he's like, yeah, you know, my brand's gonna have that soon. I'm like, I don't like webs that don't go all the way to the top. I like full height webs. He's like, yeah, ours is gonna have that. And I didn't even know. I felt kind of bad. Now Logix has every cool, nuanced feature that I like in, you know, the most modern, best, most, you know, user-friendly ICF blocks. I made a comment, and it's kind of spread like wildfire, I think, through the Logix company and just different ICF guys that know, is I said the block looks like a Fox block from 10 feet away, but it's got a lot of Nudura features. And the first time I saw it, I drove all the way to Louisville, Kentucky. I got excited from what I was hearing. I wanted to see it. That's the only warehouse in the country at that moment that had it. And I said, this thing is like Nudura and Fox blocks had a baby. And that's exactly what it is. It is all the good stuff from both those blocks with about 5 or 6 or 8 other super cool little features that they would have, you know, those blocks might add if it didn't cost millions of dollars to redo molds. So I'm going to show you a full tour tomorrow of all those blocks. I think I've got probably more Elements blocks west of the Mississippi than anybody right now. I have 3 semis on the ground right now. We've got a little bit of the hurricane remnants over us, but we finally got the county to issue this permit. We've already started digging because we thought the permit was already done and there was a couple delays based on the septic systems layout, but we finally got it. So I am about to set grade to start laying out these fast footings so that we can end up at the roof, at the ceiling height with no rips. So that's kind of how we excavated it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is, I've got this point painted on this stump. This has been my benchmark since we started. Let's see if I can find where we are roughly. Right, okay, we're down here. So we're gonna find this. When it's beeping fast, it means it needs to go down. There, oh, there's level. Okay, now what I know is my floor is exactly 16 inches below this spot, and then we go down 3 courses plus 12 inches. 3 courses is 48 inches, plus 12 is 60, so I need to go down 60 plus 16. That's kind of weird math. I'll try to put that up there so you understand. I'm dropping 16 to the slab and another 48 inches, another 3 blocks plus the footing of 12 inches. So I'm dropping 76 inches total from right here. So I will go up the pole 76 inches, and that will set my first, that's actually the bottom of the dig, sorry. So I'll go down 76, but then up 12 to the top of my footing, and that's where I'll start setting my rails. So that'll be 64 inches actually. I've already gone down 76 to the dig. Now I'm gonna go 64 and set that grade, and then all of our steps will be 16-inch increments, meaning they'll be full blocks. We will have no rips until possibly the second story, but no rips until then. So we'll come over here and come up 64 inches. All right, guys, so this is 64 inches up. And so this should establish our top of footing grade at our lowest point. We'll start working our way out of the lowest. Every time we get to a step, we'll come up 16 inches. So we can come over here and make sure that's looking correct. I'm gonna show you guys all this, and then I am going to get out of the way and let my boys work because they are considerably faster than me. So if this is right, we should be about 12 inches in the air. Right there. We're good. So way we work this out is we wanted to have the footing below ground. So we kept dropping until a block would be in the ground. So this thing is actually, this is about a 16-inch deep hole, will be 12 inches up. So that first block will only be about 4 inches in the ground when we're done. That works out perfectly. So this is set for this first run. This is all the way across the back. The step is probably 70 feet over there, and it's only about 10 feet this way, and we'll step up. I'll show you guys how we form up steps. I'll go through the entire fast foot process with you. It's a big day. I can't wait to get vertical. Right now though, what I want to do is give you an update of this house. I'm going to give you a full tour of the fast foot. You know, earlier in the video, you saw my boy, just a ditch. This is 7 hours later. They literally had every single bit of the fast foot laid in 7 hours. But I have to fix something now. I had asked the homeowner, because I knew his designer and him had made some changes. And I just asked him when we started digging it, do any of these changes affect the outside shape of the house? And he had said no, but he wasn't thinking about his patio. So you can see the footer we dug, and you can see reality. And we just found out about this a few minutes ago. So I'm about to hotwire Doug's X right there, and I'm gonna dig this so it's ready to go for Monday. Doug made the mistake of telling me his code to start this thing. So I'm gonna fix that footing myself. I'll bring you guys a video of the pour of this next week. I think we'll be able to pour this by probably Wednesday. We'll have to get an inspection. But I will get into some details here on how you do steps. I'll show you that right now. We use form plywood. All of our steps, again, are 16 inches high because that's how high a block is. So we've done our math, and the blocks will be full height blocks. We won't have any rips to start. We won't have any rips to finish. But anyway, you can see the fast foot. You can see the lines are going the other way. So when we get the step formed up, we run it down this way, up and over. We even wrap it around the edges over here. And then we slap on our face piece that will come off. We'll get stripped off. Then we just run this piece in, run that piece there. We've used sewn corners. The FabForm sewn corners are absolutely fantastic. There's a little origami detail that they have where you can cut it and fold it, but you end up losing a lot of your linear foot at every corner. This house has, I don't know, 15, 16 corners on it. So I would literally probably use an extra roll and a half, or I just buy a box of sewn corners. You can kind of see how the corner goes from like right there to right there, and it's just a piece that's shaped like a corner that's sewn that we can place in the corners. So you can kind of see our forming detail. We got a little wind under this one. The rebar we're going to use, I called the county a minute ago. This municipality interprets these footers because they have effectively a vapor-proof, waterproof bag that we can't use a UFR ground because the bonding or grounding the rebar to a footing that's not truly in the ground because it is has a barrier that's keeping it from absorbing moisture, which is a good thing, but it's not going to properly ground. So we don't use a UFR ground. We actually go back to old school ground rods, which I actually like better. Anyway, the cool thing is I called him and said, hey, if I'm not going to be using UFR, do I have to use steel rebar? Can't I use fiberglass? Now this is where fiberglass is great, and it's also annoying. This municipality puts it on us to get any different brand of rebar approved. Now, the brand we are carrying at all three pools is approved, but they're not sure it's approved, and they will take 3 or 4 days to get back to me to make sure it's approved when I give them the brand information. Super annoying. So I want to pour this thing in about 2 working days. So I'm gonna go against my better judgment because I don't want to use steel, and I'm going to use Gator bar because Gator they're familiar with, and for the footing it's totally fine. That's the sand covered like straight bar. It doesn't have like the texture that MST or Corning has. They're pretty sure Corning would work, and I can get a smoking deal on Corning right now because, as you probably know, they're discontinuing all their lines. And Austin's just bought a big lot from one of the big companies. And so we could use that, but I'm just gonna go ahead and buy Gator because I wanna use all fiberglass in this entire wall. And we're getting a big shipment from MST on the wall, but for the footing, I'm just not gonna make waves. They said, it's kind of crazy. There's 2 or 3 different corner details I'll get into on the house that are totally allowable, that work, the engineering's solid on, but I don't really want to buy as many 90s as I would need to do this. And their solution, since I don't want to buy the 90s, is that I can just use steel 90. So I'll have some steel just floating in the corners. That's fine. That makes my bender a lot more useful. So anyway, guys, this is the progress this week. We got a good start on our gravel backfill. They worked, today's Friday, we just got the permit finally. It took almost a month. Now normally, some of you guys out on the left coast probably don't think that sounds like too much. I used to pull permits in this county in 2 to 3 days. So this one taking over a month is pretty wild. They did tear down a house here, so there was some environmental things that had to pass that isn't normal, but still, it's pretty wild. This thing's a monster. Just this part is 120 feet, I think, and then there's a 20-some foot gap here, and then the detached garage, we didn't get quite as far on it, but it's another 27 feet. So all in, it's like 173 feet long, because there's a roof. I'm standing in the breezeway, but there's a roof that goes over the top. I cannot wait, guys, to show you the elements blocks. So tune in tomorrow. I'll do a full-on tour video. It is absolutely, in my opinion, fairly well, versed opinion on ICF. It is going to be the next big thing in ICF. It's just got enough nuance that makes it just a little more user-friendly than some of the blocks you're familiar with that you probably like a lot, that are great blocks. And the company is so hungry to just blow up. And the heat sheet, the yellow bundles there, so cool. I mean, this house is getting full hydronic throughout the entire house, heat and cool. And I mean, it's an elaborate setup. So I was just kind of playing with the homeowner here a little bit ago, showing him kind of how the heat sheet will work. But guys, stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't. I put it on a playlist. Every build episode from this house will be on a single playlist, so you guys can see it. And yeah, guys, it's gonna be super cool. So kind of stay tuned. Like I said, this one's gonna be getting vertical in the next 5-6 days. So it's gonna be awesome.